Ferrari is one team that will suffer from enormous changes ahead of the 2023 season, and that's going to be a huge challenge for them to overcome. Now that Binotto is gone, many think that every problem that the team had related to performance or bad chemistry is out of the window, but that's not the case. Binotto was just part of a huge problem that's ravaging Ferrari, and if the team wants this fix for the 2023 season, rest assured that they have a lot of work to do in the upcoming 3 months. Now, Charles Leclerc and Mattia Binotto were in a very bad relationship, especially after the Silverstone blunder that saw Leclerc being a sitting duck ahead of Sainz, Hamilton and Perez, eventually being passed by all 3 of them. The team didn't want to pit him because they didn't want to lose track position with Leclerc, which eventually turned out to be the worst case scenario for the Monegasque. In a damage limitation race for Verstappen, who finished just P7 due to downforce loss, Leclerc failed to capitalise on a good weekend. This, according to reports, was the point of no return between Leclerc and Binotto, with their relationship straining away ever since the reliability issues that left Leclerc outside of the points in Baku and Barcelona, and the tactical blunders that saw him finish P4 after being P1 in Monaco. All in all, Ferrari was able to make a laughingstock out of themselves throughout the 2022 season, with the blunders continuing in France with Sainz, Budapest for both Ferrari drivers, and Brazil for Leclerc. Binotto posted a statement in which he announced that he's stepping down from his role as team principal at Ferrari, adding, "With the regret that this entails, I have decided to conclude my collaboration with Ferrari. I'm leaving a company that I love, which I've been part for 28 years, with the serenity that comes from the conviction that I have made every effort to achieve the objectives set. I leave a united and growing team, a strong team, ready, I'm sure, to achieve the highest goals, to which I wish all the best for the future. I think it's right to take this step at this time, as hard as this decision has been for me. I would like to thank all the people at the Gestione Sportiva who have shared this journey with me, made up of difficulties but also of great satisfaction." Still, was Binotto at fault for all of this? Well, not really. True, a huge part of the responsibility goes to him because, after all, he is the team principal and he's not the type of guy who wants to point fingers and assert dominance. Eventually, his kindness was what killed his chances of remaining the team principal at Ferrari, along with the bad relationship he had with Leclerc. Obviously, when your superstar driver doesn't agree with the team principal, the team has a huge problem, and that problem isn't going to be fixed if you don't get rid of the team principal. Once the situation reaches a point of no return and both sides are not on speaking terms. Leclerc's contract with Ferrari is ending in 2024, and prior to Binotto being released of his duties, Leclerc spoke about his options beyond the 24 season. When talking about this, Leclerc said that as of now, he's committed to winning with Ferrari. If this doesn't happen, he'll investigate his options and see what's available in 2025 and beyond. One very interesting seat in Mercedes was partially offered to him back in 2020, when Wolff added that he would have nothing against poaching drivers like Leclerc or Verstappen for his team. With Verstappen's contract with Red Bull running until 2028 and his current relationship with Hamilton, the Dutchman would rather retire than drive for the Silver Arrows. However, this isn't the case for Leclerc, who would gladly replace his team if Ferrari didn't offer him a winning environment. Well, with Binotto gone, can they create this kind of environment with just one team member, which is the team principal? Very unlikely. Obviously, Leclerc enjoys a very good relationship with Frederic Vasseur, who's the team principal at Alfa Romeo, the team that Leclerc debuted with back in 2018, and it would only be logical for Ferrari to follow Leclerc's wishes up to this point, given the fact that he was probably the main facilitator for Binotto to be replaced in the first place. If Vasseur becomes the team principal for Ferrari, Leclerc's wishes will undoubtedly be granted, and given the fact that Vasseur has quite some experience leading the team that is affiliated with Ferrari, rest assured that he won't have as much of a hard time accepting the new philosophy and brand of Ferrari. Still, it's going to pose a huge challenge for him, and we could see him struggling to assert dominance and let the team members know their positions. Eventually, this is what cost Binotto his job, and we're sure that every potential team principal out there is learning from Binotto on how they should act if they're appointed to this position. And just as Binotto was not in charge of the team's tactics, Vasseur will not be either. Sure, he'll have the awkward conversation with the media if something goes wrong with Leclerc or Sainz's choice of tyres. However, he would have to sit down with the tacticians and bring to light where they went wrong, which ought to be a bit harsher than what Binotto used to do. Obviously, the Maranello team hasn't learned from their own mistakes, as they kept repeating them throughout the 2022 season, starting in Monaco and ending in Brazil. Now, before we move on, we wanted to tell you about the amazing deal the official F1 store is doing right now. Holiday season is here, and they're doing daily discounts on all orders. So check out the first link down in the description to get yourself this juicy discount. Now, aside from this change, which is likely to be the most visible in terms of responsibility and authority in the team, the Maranello squad may see a brand new team of tacticians brought in to replace this one. After all, if you're prone to change, then you ought to change the whole structure of the team rather than just one person, who, to be quite honest, wasn't responsible for the tactical blunders of the team. This is something for which we're due to wait for an announcement. However, we're yet to wait for an announcement regarding the appointment of Frederic Vasseur. Although Sky F1 believes that this is the individual that Ferrari is looking for, there are a couple of other names that are put into the mix, such as the return of Maurizio Arrivabene. Maurizio was the team principal from 2016 to 2019 when he was replaced by Binotto, and now he's the manager of Juventus FC, which is embroiled in a scandal. That's why he was forced to retire from this position, and Sky F1 went to the extent of reporting that the whole scandal at Juventus has been set up by Ferrari so that they can lure him back into his old position. These changes at Juventus, you have to assume, have been rubber stamped by John Elkann. They're not linked, and there is no sense of any financial wrongdoing at Ferrari. But it's worth noting the crossover of staff at executive level you have between Juventus and Ferrari. The current chief executive of Juventus, who is on his way out but will stay there in a caretaker role to transition of the appointment of the new board, is Maurizio Arrivabene, who was Binotto's predecessor as a team principal. And we're not done with the suggestions. There have been numerous names related to this role who, although less likely, are still some of the names that could replace Binotto if something goes south with Arrivabene or Vasseur. Andreas Seidel and Franz Toss were some of the names that were heavily related to this spot in the beginning, even prior to Binotto's departure being officially announced. However, they denied the opportunity due to the fact that they want to make it work with their respective teams instead of jumping ship whenever things become hard. Ross Brawn has also been related to this position. However, he said that enough is enough and his retirement is nearing faster than anyone could anticipate. Obviously, Ferrari thinks big and trying to lure some of the big names such as Christian Horner and Toto Wolff. However, Wolff owns a third of the Mercedes racing team, whereas Horner has been with Red Bull since 2005 and he'll be hesitant to leave them and join one of Red Bull's fiercest rivals. With that said, it's clear that Ferrari's structure will undergo significant changes, and whether these changes will be focused solely on the team's primary role or also on the tactics and strategies, only time will tell. One thing is for sure, now that the team is willing to rebuild the structure, they need to pay more attention to all of the members that were responsible for the failure in 2022, not just the team principal. So, what do you think is next for Binotto and Ferrari? Let us know in the comments below.